Alright, welcome back to my channel, guys, and this is episode 4 of a series video on how to fly the Boeing 737-800. So in the last video we already programmed the FMC right here and we have a flight loaded in, and it's okay if you didn't watch that video. We don't need that compulsory to fly. It's fine. You can fly, just hand fly the aircraft or just use simple autopilot to fly the aircraft. That's up to you. But if you did watch that video, towards the end of this video, we are also going to turn on the LNAV and VNAV. So for that, you do need to program the FMC right here. So in this video, we're going to take off and taxi and start playing with the autopilot, with the MCP panel here, the mode control panel. I would recommend a plugin called BetterPushBack. So let's get started. You want to put your flaps down. I like to do that early because otherwise you're going to keep getting this configuration warning when you increase engine power. So I'm just going to put the flaps a bit down. I'm just going to put it to, and you can check your flaps using this gauge here. So I just put it to 2 degrees flaps. Yes. And now if you want to test the lights, if you want to test the systems, you can do this with this switch, the fire system, the alarms, and you can also test the lights if you want from here. So I'll go ahead and use the BetterPushBack plugin to plan a pushback, and I'll go to the right, so I'll push back to the left. And once you're done, hit enter.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
You'll be asked to release the parking brake and follow the instructions.
Tow connected and bypassed and inserted. Release parking brake. Starting pushback. Operation complete. Set parking brake. Disconnecting tow. Stand by. Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Right, now the pushback is complete, and now we can advance the thrust levers just a little bit and we can taxi. Taxiing away. Look at that. So one tip would be to align the taxi line. If you want to get it aligned properly, you want to align the yellow taxi line with the fire warning and master caution light. That actually helps. It's pretty good alignment. Right now we are going to runway 12 left. So anything red, that's the runway sign. So runway 12 left and 30 right is it up front of us. So at these lines, double and dashed lines like this, you have to stop and ask for clearance to cross the active runway. So that's why you have lots of lights and lots of markings to warn you you're going to cross an active runway. Anything yellow or black, that's just signifying the taxiway. So this is the taxiway Charlie. Just gonna go to the left here because we want to use the full length of the runway. Good time to turn on the seatbelt signs. Nice city of Bahrain there. Okay, just gonna get some more lights here. Okay. It's getting dark. So runway ahead. Gonna stop there. Here's where you're gonna ask for permission to cross. Because we're facing 12, you're gonna set the autopilot, the heading selector. This is the heading selector we have here. We're gonna set that to 12. That's 120. So that is 120, and this is the bank angle. Let's just keep it to 30 so that we can turn freely. 30 to 10, so 20 is the normal. And I'm going to set the initial speed after takeoff to 200 knots. But this won't matter because as soon as you press this speed, it's going to actually match your current speed. And this is the auto throttle arm, so that's engaged, it's armed. And we're going to talk about course later when we do an approach. For now, we can just ignore it. And this is the flight director, so we're going to turn that on. And you can see the magenta lines coming on. So the left side, captain side is on, the right side is going to be on. The autopilot is still not on yet, but it's armed. And to turn on the autopilot, you just press this button, command. And continuous wheel steering, and this is command. So we're going to play with this once we get airborne, right? Let's go. Take a moment to enjoy the views. Wow. You can also turn on the rejected takeoff braking. It's right next to the flap gauges. Lovely. For landing, you must land there because this is not a landing zone, but it's okay for takeoffs. That's what the arrow signifies. It's okay for takeoffs, but it's not good for landing. Landing, the payment is a bit different here. So to take off, just put about 90% power and release the brakes. Take off. That view is just put the landing gear up. Start using the autopilot now. So I'm going to climb up to 2000 feet and at a vertical speed of so and so, and start the command mode. I have also engaged the heading selector to 120 degrees. So here that's constant sound, that's like the autopilot taking care of the trim. It's set to vertical mode and we actually crossed the threshold of 2000, so I'm just going to go ahead and set a limit and arrest the climb at 3300 feet. So you see the vertical speed disappeared. Now it's going to start holding that altitude. It's now holding the altitude. Let's turn back to Bahrain just for the sake of demonstrating the autopilot. And you notice there's like a magenta line here. That's from our FMC as I mentioned. So we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to play with the autopilot for a bit. So the other modes are a level change. This happens when you want to go to a higher altitude. Let's say we do 4000 and let's just do level change. So notice now what happens. I'm going to put the flaps up because it's going to create drag and it's going to probably tear off the flaps. So you notice what happened when I did level change, it went to N1 speed. At a greater level it changed, and it could be retarded and degraded using the performance calculator, but it went to N1 mode, which means maximum speed, and it climbed to 4000. So let's just go to 3000 and again select level change. So this now went to retard. So what that means, it's either maximum power or no power. So it just went to idle, so it's not power producing anything. So we're slowly descending to 3000 feet, right? Level change mode is, as the name suggests, is used for level changing, but at speed protected levels. So the speed is always conserved, it's always protected, and it tries to save fuel when you're descending, right? It's now at idle speed. It's not using much fuel, so we're descending slowly but steadily at a good or reasonable 1000 feet per minute. We reached 3000. As soon as we reached it, it went to speed mode, back to speed mode, and it's going to hold the altitude now. It manages the speed just by the pitch of the aircraft. So it's just controlling the pitch up and down. You just saw outside. It doesn't do any fine tuning of the speed. So it's very good for large changes in altitude. It's very good for that situation. So let's say you want to go 3500 and you select level change again. It does that N1 thing again, right? It goes to a very high power. It forces the pitch very high, and it's probably not that comfortable for the passengers, honestly. And it's only used for large changes of altitude. It's not useful for small changes, right? So for that, you want to turn on the VS mode. That's the vertical speed mode. Let me just turn back to Bahrain. So let's say I want to go down to 3000 feet. And instead of using level change, this time I'm going to set the VS mode. And now it's going to follow, let's do 200. It's going to follow a descent rate of minus 200 feet per minute. And you can see it's just slowly, ever so slightly. Let me just increase that. Yep, you see this small purple line. It's going to follow that. It's going to go to 500 feet per minute. But the difference between level change and VS, both are used to change altitude. But the difference between them is VS is not speed protected. No matter what happens to the engine power, if you set to, let's say, 5000, if I had it to 0, and if I set it to 5000, it is going to follow that no matter what. It will follow that no matter what. So it doesn't care about the speed. It is not speed protected. It will follow whether it's life or death. It is going to follow minus 5000 feet per minute. If I turn this on, we're going to crash immediately. It's going to like go down very rapidly. You can see it's going to go. We're going to crash. So let me just put that back up to 3000 feet. Right? We go up again. But essentially what I'm trying to say is VS mode is good for fine tuning the altitude. So let's say I'm going now from 2100 to 2200 or 400. It's very good for fine tuning. So the passengers are not gonna get jolted back and forth. The speed is controlled only via the MCP speed. You see here MCP speed? That's just what we set here. So it's going to just maintain with that, but it doesn't care about the speed. It is not caring about what speed you set. It's just going to blindly follow what rate you have set here. So it just disappeared because it now has reached 2400 feet and it's going to hold at that moment. So I'm just going to go back to this setting and actually increase my speed to, let's say, 250. You see it's managing the speed. It's actually controlling itself. I'm not touching anything in the controls. My controls are off. We're just flying around Bahrain for this demonstration. And now without these selectors, if you don't have this on, you see it just went to CWSR. That means continuous wheel steering roll. So what that means is the autopilot is semi-engaged. It's not controlling the heading anymore, but it's only controlling the altitude and the speed. So in fact, actually nudge the control column a bit. And if I just set it this way, I just left it like that and it's gonna just hold that roll. Lovely. The same goes for the altitude. So if I don't have altitude hold, now you see CWSP as well, continuous wheel steering pitch as well. If I push my nose a bit down, it's going to hold the descent rate until it reaches that set. So you can actually set the VS manually as well. The CO button right here is just conversion between Mach, the speed of sound, or knots, indicated airspeed, which is different than your ground speed. It considers the wind speed as well. So you see, I just nudged the control column and disconnected the heading selector. I'm going to put that back on. And what I'm going to do is try to intercept this purple line. So if you haven't seen the last video, you will not have the purple line. But for those of you who have done that, we're going to start going towards Qatar now. Let's zoom in and try to intercept this line. MCP speed, heading select, and altitude hold. I'm just going to make sure, just want to draw your attention to that. I'm gonna put LNAV on. This is this button right here. Below heading select, that's the current mode. I have LNAV here now. So it's gonna wait until we intercept it, and then it's gonna be the main one. There we go. So now LNAV has taken over. We are no longer gonna follow the heading. We are gonna follow what was programmed into the computer now. So we are gonna leave the Bahrain airspace soon. And the last thing is just to turn on the VNAV. That's the vertical guidance. And as soon as I do that, you see that the speed select mode has now disappeared suddenly. Now VNAV and LNAV has taken control. This is the maximum level of automation you can get. Right, so we have leveled off now. Speed int means speed intervention. When VNAV is controlling the speed, pressing the speed int button lets you take over the speed using the MCP speed window. So the MCP speed window reappears. Let me set it to 265 knots and you will see it's following that. VNAV still controls the path, however, you are temporarily setting a new speed. So this happens, let's say, when ATC gives you a new speed restriction. When you're done, press it again and VNAV goes back to managing the speed automatically. Alt-inf means altitude intervention. It's a bit different than speed intervention. VNAV normally follows the program altitude constraints in the FMC. So you have seen the waypoints before with altitude restrictions on the right. So we ignore the next altitude restriction and continue our climb or descent to the set MCP altitude. This is commonly used when ATC clears you lower earlier than planned. But if you want to command an actual change in altitude, like a climb, then use VS or level change, as we saw earlier. And you can press Ctrl T to speed it up. And we wait for the flight to progress. So that's it for this video, guys, and in the next video I'm going to walk you through how to land the Boeing 737 on ILS approach, a VOR approach, and also a hand fly manual approach down to the runway. And I'll see you in the next one.